I do know a little bit, because I do work a little bit with ECU, is I know with Pitt as well, we want to see our graduates, regardless of what discipline or program they're in, we want to see them give back to Greenville. Stay in the Greenville area, or the greater area. It doesn't have to be necessarily Greenville proper. It could be down towards Kinston, it could be up towards Rocky Mount or wherever, but we want to see our graduates in this community stay in this community, because they're going to be, in many cases, next generation to take care, of the different needs that we have here, from IT to healthcare. So, yes, sir.
The actual face-to-face interview process, depending on position, is there certain answers that you look for, certain phrases?
Not necessarily. I mean,
Honesty, I think.
Yeah,
Honesty.
Mindy and I do a lot of, we tag team our interviews, so we tend to interview together, and I do that with a lot of the managers.
I want to make sure that you take into degree that you're nervous. I mean, you're for an interview. I mean, honestly, you're nervous. We understand that. But, like if you're for a clinical position, I'm going to ask some clinical questions to make sure that you've got some basic knowledge. And I'm looking for, are you pretty comfortable in your answers? Or did it just come right off an answer? Did you have to kind of sit there and think, how do you give an injection and where do you give it? And if I say the deltoid, do you know what I'm even talking about? That kind of thing. So I am looking for honesty, how quick you respond to something. If you feel like that you're weak in something, I'd like to know it up front so that, okay, well, we can work on that. That's not a problem, or something like that. Or what you feel like your strong points are.
One of the questions we like to ask, and we ask it different ways, but you hear about typical interview, ask what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses. Well, that's been an overused thing. We try to get a feel for, if we were to talk to your instructors or your supervisors or the folks that you work with, what would they consistently say about you that are areas of strength, whether it's skills, qualities, characteristics, things that you could bring to the organization, and what are some areas that you need to work on? And typically, we all know what we need to work on. I know what I need to improve on, typically. So that kind of self-awareness is really important to be able to understand that. But really, it's just being straightforward. Having researched the company is really important. So whether it's Physicians East or somewhere else, just having a basic knowledge of what they do and what the size of the organization is and that. And then certainly being thoroughly prepared, because we're calling somebody in for a specific job typically. RN, it might be a front desk reception kind of role, it could be something in our coding department. So the job's there, and typically with the posting, it's the job description for the most part. So taking that job description, putting it on your phone, your pad, or printing it out and making notes on it, just having some good questions, are important.
And when I say to be honest, don't just be honest with the people that you're interviewing with, be honest with yourself. I am horrible at math. If I were to go in and interview and this job had to do with math, and I sat there and said, oh yeah, I love math, I'm great at math, blah, blah, blah. They hired me. If I got into that job, I'd be miserable. So if you know, not every job is for every person. So if you are in an interview and you feel like, you know what, the pay is too low, the schedule doesn't accommodate my schedule, or I just don't think that I would be a good fit, be honest about that. I think that they would much rather have you be honest, not waste their time or yours. And then maybe there's a different position in the organization that would fit you. But I think so many times when people are interviewing, they're too busy trying to think of what is the right answer. The right answer is the honest answer.
A lot of times the questions you're being asked, there isn't always a right or wrong answer, is to get your feeling about something. Obviously, how to give an injection has a specific process, so we don't want necessarily creativity with that. But certainly a lot of the questions are just to get a feel for who you are and what you're wanting to see from your employer.
Because sometimes, and Missy touched on it, is when you're interviewing, you may be interviewing for a position for me, and it may be one position, but I may have several positions open, but the answers that you're giving me and your personality, I feel like you may fit better in this position. So, we'll talk about several different positions. So sometimes you're not necessarily interviewing, you come in interviewing for that one position, but we're considering you for other things that we may
Yeah.
have in the office.
We do that a lot. It's all across the board. That someone will come in and will say, you know what? Based on what they're talking, we think they'd be really good here. And so we'll, sometimes say, hey, do you have a few minutes? Let's see if we can switch gears and go this way. So I hope that helps you. Does that help you? Okay. Good question. What else?
Just a question.
Yes.
Clinically, do you guys currently have positions open?
Yes. I'm going through my memory. What?
And what types? Medical assisting?
Mm-hmm.
Or what departments?
Yes, we have 3 certified medical assistant positions open. One in cardiology, one which is at our Arlington Road location.
Yes, sir.
We have a position at urgent care, which is on East Arlington on the other side. We also have a position in the float pool. These are 3 full-time positions. 2 of them are Monday through Friday, day hours. The other one, the urgent care, because of the nature of the urgent care hours, all the roles that work there, whether you're clinical or non-clinical, work extended hours. And so what we look for a CMA role, certainly being graduated and the AAMA certification is crucial. We have to have that certification in order for us to be able to fully utilize CMA in the workplace. So, and we're certainly open to newer grads or folks that have experience. Some folks come to us, maybe they're just now getting their degree, but maybe they have prior experience doing something else, maybe a nursing assistant or something like that. So yeah.
Which leads to don't sell yourself short either in the interview, especially as a new grad. I think we hear all the time, well, I don't really have any experience, but you do. You've lived life, you may have had other positions, if you've had an internship or externship, focus on those positive things. Because I think sometimes, you just go in and you're so new, whether you're coming from a second career or just out of school the first time, and you think, well, I don't have anything. But you do. You might have worked in at McDonald's, so you might have great customer service. Or, you might have done your clinicals with Mindy. And it's not that you don't have any clinical experience, you do. So brag about that a little bit. And you need to make yourself stand
Talk
out.
about your school programs too. When we ask those questions, okay, well, I know you're a new grad, I know you're brand new, but tell me about your classes. What are some of the, tell me about your we were talking about all scripts for MOA. I know that's part of the curriculum. So tell us about that experience a little bit. Tell us, as you say, the coursework that you're doing. It's really important. And, we're also looking for heart in people too. We're here to take care of patients. I mean, at the end of the day, Mindy sees patients. Misty and I don't see the patients, but we know that if we're doing our job correctly by taking care of our employees, they're able to then care for their patients. Because at the end of the day, we're here to take care of our patients, and we want people that have heart and passion for that. Skills are very important, and they're equally important, but that ability to connect with people when they come in. This is not like going to a restaurant or a retail store where I'm choosing to go buy something or going out to eat. I'm here because something isn't quite right. I'm not feeling well, or I'm anxious about something. So we're going to see people tend to be more at their worst because they're nervous. And so that ability to connect with people is absolutely critical, as much as experience and education.
Touching back on don't sell yourself short, if you worked at McDonald's for 5 years or 7 or 8 years, what does that say? I mean, that's some longevity there. That says that obviously you were a good employee. I mean, I would look at customer service, but I also look at, they were here for this long. Compared to somebody that changes jobs every 3 months or every year, then I start to wonder, okay, so are they job hopping, or they just haven't found what they want? That kind of stuff. So even though it might not be necessarily in the field that you want to get in, we still look at like the places that you've worked, how long you've been there, what kinds of like customer service or, different things, qualities that you had to have for that job.
Absolutely. Very good question. Yes.
It's kind of basic, but what kind of attire do you expect on the initial interview? I mean, do you expect suit and tie? Or?
Sure. Great question. I'm afraid to let these two talk.
My favorite question.
We have strong opinions over here. Why don't you let me? I'll answer it first, and then you can do do your whole thing. No. Really, it depends on the role. I mean, what we look for is professionalism. We do on occasion for the clinical, sometimes we'll interview somebody who's working at the hospital on their lunch break or wherever, and so they're going to come in scrubs. We understand that. That, I mean, in a sense, that is kind of the uniform for the job. But for the most part, we really expect conservative, professional attire. You know, it doesn't have to be, you know, expensive. It just has to be clean and professional.
Neat, clean, and pressed.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And you know when someone's really made an effort. You can see that when someone has obviously made an effort. It's we really respect that with folks, because believe it or not, you don't see it as much anymore. Folks are not, in our more casual climate that I think we live in now, I think folks aren't putting that kind of effort into the interview, but at least at our organization, and I know in a lot of the other organizations, we do really value that. It's a first impression, just like we talked about smiling and communicating with people all through the whole process. So, suit and tie is great, or the business suit of some kind is fine. It doesn't have to be that. It can be something, you know, more just business casual. But really, as you say, clean, pressed, and neat. Is that what you said?
And then have it easy, you know, slacks, button-down shirt, and tie. You're good. Women have it a lot more difficult situation because everything is subjective. What I may consider a short skirt, Lakeisha may consider, you know, like Amish to her, you know. So you don't know. But I mean, we've had people come in gold lame. One time we had a woman come in a gold lame mini skirt with fishnet stockings. We had one come in what was probably somebody's former prom dress. Now, what's that?
Bedroom shoes.
Bedroom shoes. So it's important, and like Scott said, it does not have to be expensive. If you're driving and you spilled your coffee on yourself and you have a stain, we get it, life happens. If you wear that same shirt after it's been washed 5 times, you can tell that it's a stain from however many washes and go, that's Minnie's pet peeve. So you don't want to have holes. You want to make sure things fit properly. You don't want any unnecessary parts showing. Right? I mean, come on, let's be honest. A lot of today's fashions, the pants are low and the shirt lines are lower. Make sure you're covered. Make sure your hair is neat. And like Scott said, with a natural color. And like he said before, it doesn't have to be your natural hair color. I think God knows Mindy and I will be working there, right? But it can't be blue or green or whatever, In some places that may work. In a healthcare facility, it's not. You're better off erring on the side of being conservative as to be
and
more centric.
In our culture now, I mean, of course, there's tattoos are everybody has them. I mean, and I understand that. I don't personally have a problem with them, but we do need to we do require our employees to cover up all of their tattoos. So if you have them, certainly don't let us see them in the interview process.
And piercings other than the ears.
That can be something that we.
And, if you're coming from another job and you're in uniform, especially if you're clinical, that's fine with me because actually it gives me a chance to see how you dress for your other job. If you come in here and your scrub pants are all wrinkled or your shirt looks like it's been balled up in a basket for a while, that tells me that's how you would come, if that's how you went to work today, that's how you would come to our office there, which would be unprofessional.
Do not smell like smoke. Don't wear fragrance, cologne, perfume, scented lotions. You don't know who you're speaking to. Ours is a fragrance-free facility. And so, our patients are sometimes allergic. Many people who would be interviewing you could be allergic. It's not going to kill you to go without perfume or cologne for a day or so. But at the same time, if you smoke, make sure that is not on your clothes when you come in, because it is very offensive to some people.
Yes, sir.
Look, okay, good.
Future code. I was wondering, Once I pass the coding exam, would I still have to go through a 1-year apprenticeship?
Could you say that one more time, sir?
Once I pass the coding exam, for the
Yes.
state, would I still have to go through a 1-year apprenticeship?
So, because they hired,
Yeah, I think that's the case.
they hired a couple people right from their internship.
You're in your final stage and you're ready to take the exam?
I think, if I may speak to that.
Sure.
If you're taking the CPC exam, I believe that you have to do the apprenticeship if you don't have years of experience coding. That's a credentialing requirement, not necessarily a physician's East requirement.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I think the CCS is the same way with the AHEMA credentials.
With that, yeah, and with that said, we do hire Pitt grads in the coding area. I mean, we've got a couple, I think, in the last few years.
3, I think.
Yeah, 2 or 3. So, once somebody comes in that's fully qualified and ready to go, we'll certainly consider them. So, yeah.
Okay, I'm qualified in other fields also, but I could start off and then switch over, apply for a coding job later on.
Yeah, there's lots of options. We had somebody recently that did that actually came on board with us in another capacity and transferred over into our coding department. They came on as a more front desk role. So, and if you want to hang around afterwards, I'm going to talk to you for a few minutes.
Oh, yeah, I have something for you.
Okay, excellent.
And that's the thing that I would say too. You're not going to start off at the top. And so if you know that you're interested in a company, but you may not be able to get your dream role right away, let's say you start off in the mailroom. It is much easier to go from the mailroom to another position than to get it initially. So remember that too.
Yeah, Physicians East, we are very much proponents of promoting from within, when at all possible. We would rather take somebody who's worked hard, proved themselves, and give them a chance. I recently did that in my own department. We had a vacancy. We brought somebody that had been here for a while, that had really worked hard and did a good job, and I brought them up to my team. Really want to see that overall. What other questions did you guys have? Yes.
Do you actually go through every application,
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. So, what about the dietary department? Do you control that?
Physicians East does not have a dietary department. I know that a lot of nursing homes obviously have, and long-term care facilities have dietary departments. Certainly the hospital does too.
Right.
Because Physicians East is all outpatient.
Okay.
We don't have necessarily any kind of dietary work. We do have dietitians that work for us that help do counseling with patients, certainly on dietary needs and restrictions, but not a proper dietary
Right.
like you might see in a long-term care facility or that. So, I actually started my HR career 21 years ago. My office was in the basement. It was a converted closet of a nursing home. It was a 235-bed nursing home, and then they had a long-term care facility, about 70 or 80 beds there. And it was very low paying. It was minimum wage at that time. It was back in the 90s.
$3 and something.
It was pretty cheap. It was and I just graduated from college and thought that I was going to set the world on fire, as we all do. But I'll tell you, I took that role and I worked there for several years, and I had a great boss that taught me a lot about HR. I thought I knew a lot, but I really didn't know anything. I thought, I had skill sets, but I really didn't know about this field. And so through the years then, it's just strategically looking at my career, but it's Missy said this earlier, it's just being willing to pay some dues early on can really help. So I'm very familiar with nursing homes. Yeah, I'm very familiar with that approach. So they're very great, good facilities. So, yeah.
The other thing I do want to say about your internship is, you may not get a position where you are, but I can tell you, when I did my college internship, every position that I've gotten thereafter has been a result of networking that I did through my internship. Now granted, it wasn't in healthcare or whatever, but it doesn't have to be. Once you have somebody on your side that's willing to say, you know what, Lakeisha is a great worker. She has a great work ethic, she has a good personality, and she has a lot of integrity. Well, you can't teach those things. She can learn anything else. So remember that too. Get somebody, find a mentor or somebody who's willing to mentor you and ask questions. Believe me, that's the time to do it while your internship is there. Not when you're already hired and say, oh, Scott, how do I change the font and word? He'd probably think I was crazy, right? But he's not going to look at me funny enough. So remember that too. And no question is a stupid question. I'm a firm believer in that.
Do you do the affiliation with the hospice?
With the
Hospice, because I'm doing that
hospice
Do we do what?
affiliation, or do we work with the hospice and the hospice groups?
As far as like internships and all that through hospice? Or, I'm not real sure what you're asking.
Yes. Like, when I finish my internship in hospice, do you work with them?
Okay, so what are you doing in hospice as far as your internship? Are you like a nursing assistant or what kind of rotation?
A social worker.
Okay.
A social worker.
Okay. And you're asking if there's specific opportunity?
Yes.
We don't really have a hospice group.
No, and we don't have social worker either. I mean, we've certainly talked about it, and clinical would love to have a social worker.
Yeah.
I think the closest thing is patient advocate.
Patient advocate.
Yeah, and they deal more with the advocating for financial help, with billing and things like that. But my goodness, I know that we were just talking about long-term care facilities. I know that most of those big, larger ones have folks that work in social workers and the like that work in those organizations as well. So that'd be hopefully if you're at are you at a site right now?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good example, good place to take advantage of it. And as Lizzie said, make sure you get some contacts there that can vouch for your time there. If you have a preceptor or somebody that you're working closely with, or somebody you're shadowing, or if you can talk to a few people to be maybe references for you, that's really going to help you in addition to any instructors that you have.
Oh, Scott, that reminded me of something. Can I just go off on another one?
I don't know.
With your application, at least on ours, we ask for references, right? And you have to leave at least 3. Make them professional references, whether it be an instructor, current or former supervisor. Don't list your 3 best friends, because then we have to call you back and say, hey, we can't use these. Kind of be proactive and think ahead on your application, and don't just put somebody. It's very awkward for me to call somebody for a reference who has no idea that this person has put them down. So before you do that, and I see it happens, believe me, I can tell you some stories, but make sure that you ask somebody to put you down. Can I put you down as a reference? I'm thinking about applying for a position. Is it all right if somebody were to contact you? Subsequently with that, if you're currently in a job, it's okay to say, no, you may not contact my current employer. I think sometimes people feel like they have to say yes because it'll give like a negative connotation on their application if you say, no, you can't contact my current employer. Most people, I would think, would not want us contacting your current employer to say, hey, Lakeisha, I'm calling for Missy Hayes. Lakeisha's my boss now, right? And I'll currently work for her. Missy Hayes said that I could call you for a reference. Well, guess what? I don't know if Lakeisha would be keeping me much longer because she knows now I'm out looking. So it's okay to put no for that.
Missy, can I add something to that?
Sure.
I failed to introduce myself. I work in career services right around the corner, so we can help you with resumes and interviews and all that sort of thing. But with references, make sure that person's going to give you a good reference.
Yes.
And you can ask them, applying for this job, do you feel comfortable giving me a positive reference? Because you may think you did a great job somewhere, and they would feel differently. So.
That's a short conversation, too.
Absolutely. Good questions, guys. I mean, seriously, anything else we can answer for you? I'd be glad to answer anything you have.
I just have a question. I just first transplant from LA, and I understand the application procedures are a little bit different. Do you have an HR department where one can walk and profile my resume and use myself rather than just do everything online?
Sure. We do have an HR department. I mean, you're talking about, do we have a physical location that you can go to? Yeah. And an HR department is at the main location here in Greenville, 1850 West Arlington Boulevard. It's at there. And we do encourage folks to apply online because we do get and this is not a bad thing, this is the truth, we get a high volume of applications. We do pay close attention to the candidates that come in. People do bring resumes in, but if you do bring something in, we still need you to fill something out.
Of course.
Yeah.
We can't always guarantee if someone comes in to just introduce themselves that somebody's going to be available to talk. Just the nature of
It's just that what I've been told is that you cannot do that, you have to apply online, that's the only way to go.
I don't know that there's anything that says that you can't do it. I mean, we certainly don't say that you can't do it. What we do say is you can't do that in lieu of applying. That's all we say.
But if that company says it, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, if companies do say no walk-ins or no this or that, then certainly, And we oftentimes, when somebody does stop in to want to put a face with a name kind of thing, it's not usually possible for one of us to say, just because of, we're usually in a meeting or interviewing somebody. So it is difficult sometimes to come out and talk to folks. But, it's not something that we certainly would discourage, but at the same time, it might not have the same results that you want.
Are there ways that they can stand out in the application?
Like I said, spelling, punctuation, capitalization, make sure your information is right, and your experience.
We do look at our application process, our format, and this isn't the case for every place, but at least ours does allow you some room to write a little bit. So if you have something you want to say, like, hey, just moved here, I did this and this and this, passionate about helping patients and those kinds of things. A way to, we kind of want to see a little personality as well, the best you can do come out in your application if you can. We do, unlike a lot of people, I actually do look at cover letters if they're attached. So don't think it's a waste of time. I mean, a lot of folks, I know that's not a real in vogue thing anymore, but it does give you a chance to put a narrative down. Whether it's a paragraph or 3 paragraphs, we do, especially if we're bringing the person in for an interview, we'll take a close look at that as well, because we might have some questions based on that.
And the reason at our practice why the online application is so important is because once you apply to a particular position, then that hiring supervisor then has access to look at your application.
Yeah.
And he or she, a lot of the times, are the ones who decide who they want to interview. So if you just hand a resume in, they're not going to see it.
Of course, no. I would just be told that there's no personal. Usually what I've done is you fill out the electronic application and you follow up by introducing yourself and maybe just put a face to the application, so to speak, and then you get more acquainted with what it is that you're working with.
Well, and when you do fill out that application, most organizations are going to have either at the beginning or the end kind of protocol established. Hey, don't call us, we'll call you, kind of thing. Certainly, to give somebody, if you want to stop by and introduce yourself, that's not something we would certainly frown on. Just might not have the fruit that you want it to. Right. That's all.
We do ask that you don't call and follow up, simply because we are a working HR department. Everybody's constantly in flux of work, and so by people calling, then that prevents us from saying, maybe looking at another application or setting up another interview or whatnot. One other thing I want to touch upon, that one of my professors shared with me before too, because it is difficult to get into places. A lot of times you may have 1,000 or more applicants and there's only one position. Don't get down on yourself. Even if you've interviewed and you think you nailed it, you never know why you weren't selected. It could be something that you could not have done anything differently. You're a perfect candidate, but for some other reason, another candidate was just a little bit more suitable. Just because you're not selected does not mean you're not qualified or that you're a good applicant. I think that happens a lot here where, at position these they'll interview and like, oh, why can't we take both of them? But at the time they just can't. And then when something comes up, they'll say, oh, remember my buddy Lakeisha? So don't get down on yourself too. Remember, there's only so many slots with multiple times of applicants.
Then positions come open all the time. I mean, we're a growing company, so I mean, positions come open all the time. I mean, it's new. Doctors come on board, that increases every department there, so.
Yeah. So we're constantly looking at candidates. We've interviewed somebody before and maybe they weren't selected. We oftentimes will go back and make a second call and say, hey, would you be interested in coming in to talk about this position? Sometimes second time's a charm or whatever.
We just did that this week.
Mm-hmm. We did actually. So.
I've had several that's come through and it maybe took them 2 or 3 times to get there, but for whatever reason, they didn't get it the first couple of times, but when they come in that third time, because we remembered them, they just fit, in that position and they got hired.
When I first started, the application process was you went online and then it was so archaic, you couldn't even go in and apply yourself again. You had to call and say, oh, Missy, could you apply me to this, and this position? And there was a girl there, I won't say her name. I probably talked to her at least once a week for a couple of years because she was constant and she just never gave up. And I just saw her a week or 2 ago maybe, and she said, Missy, guess what? And she's going on her 6th year anniversary. So even though it took some time, again, because you feel like, oh, I've applied this many times and I've not gotten an interview or I've not gotten this, you have to remember, we might have one position open with 1,200 applicants. Not to say a large part of them aren't qualified, but probably the majority of them may be. So just if you don't get what you want at first, just keep on, trying it if that's what you really want.
Well, any other questions? Yes, great. Yes, sir.
I plan on applying to the radiography program here in the spring, and I was sort of like a job shadow, someone in that field, positions
Why don't you, can you stay after for a little bit and chat with me? I can fill you in on that. We do take students. Now, I don't know that we typically would,
No shadow.
Yeah, we don't do anything prior to, unless it's part of a formal program. Typically, shadowing, because it's not attached to a program that has some kind of a curriculum or a contract in place, but we certainly welcome students in that program. I know that our diagnostics manager has a lot of students from Pitt that come through here. So, I believe she's a Pitt grad too.
She is.
Yeah, so.
And I will say, I'm not just saying it because we're here, but we discussed this before, that Pitt grads, you have to come out ready to go. And so you should feel confident that once you do go out in the workforce, they prepare you very well.
Yeah. We are very lucky to have this school here, Physicians East is, like I said, there are a lot of graduates that work there.
I think because Pitt does a lot of hands-on, whereas some of the other places do more just observing. And hands-on makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Good question.
Yes.
In relation to his, would it be possible for a student to set up maybe an interview, an informational interview with someone at Physicians East to learn a little bit more if they're, trying to decide?
I think that would be doable. Maybe talk offline about that. Might be a simple where maybe I can even come out here.
Yeah.
And chat. I like to, part of my background in HR is employee development, so I'm really into helping folks grow to the next level. So I love to talk to folks about career opportunities, career paths, and help them research, based on their interests and skills, what's a good path for them. So yeah, there's something we can chat about.
And don't stop learning. If you have a professional organization attached to your field of study, by all means, join it as a student and then keep up that membership as an adult. Your learning does not just stop when you get that degree. You want to keep your skills fresh. You want to keep up to date with, what the trends are in your market. If you don't do that, I think you're doing a real disservice to yourself. It's worth the investment.
Did you have anything else that you wanted to say? Anything else?
Did you guys have any questions, faculty?
We'll hang around for a while. Glad to talk to anybody who wants to stop over.
Thank y'all so much for coming.
Great.
Thank you.